such a creature of habit, I may as well talk about creatures this morning. I've always marveled at the amazing abilities of God's creatures. And I was thinking about how the church has been so afflicted, but is now rebuilding. And that reminded me of the engineering expertise of beavers. You can picture like the edge of a forest. It's thinning trees, they're kind of skinny. It's in a drying place. And at the edge of that forest beyond is a dry and dusty place. A few scraggly plants are hanging on. And they're hanging on because there is yet a small little rivulet of water emerging from the forest into this dry and dusty land, and is absorbed quickly before it can actually get out and branch out and bring life. It's not an expanse of land that people would be very much interested in, except the Lord our God. He is interested always in places that are dead and dying, and that he can bring back to life. But there is someone else who is interested in this land as well, and that's our friend, the beaver. He doesn't see a dusty and dying land at all. He sees something entirely different. He sees the small rivulet of water emptying into a great pond that he's about to build. He sees the dam already constructed, and there in the middle of the pond, he sees his lodge. Here comes our friend now, his little beady eyes, peeking out in that head of fur. He's about the size of a dog. Out the back, he's trailing along a flat tail he uses for swimming. He's got 5 fingers and thumbs like us. He's got hands. He needs to be able to handle rocks and twigs and all kinds of things. But his back feet are wet, so he can swim. This bit of territory that our friend has found is a real find for him. Wow. It's a great find. He waddles out from the little forest there with the thinning trees, goes along the rivulet, and says finally, this is where the dam will go. And so he begins to build. In many ways, this scenario of the beaver and his dam and lodge is very much like the people of God and the church. We do not see a dry and dusty place or anything that's dying. Even though we've been afflicted by a great affliction, we see something entirely different. We see a place where water is flowing. We see a place where faith can grow. We see a place where healing can happen. I love that baseball movie. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. That's what we're going to do. You've already started. I don't think there's much more effort to give. You're already here. It's amazing. I love you so for that. I love you for your faith and the grace that God gives you. This is a building built by the hands of humans in service to God. Here are the people, created by God, and who has given you his Spirit. And we shall rebuild not just our church, but our whole land. For we Not just the church, but the entire world has been dealt a deadly blow. Our little community here has suffered loss. And some of its people have become very sick. We've had sick people within our own congregation, but they're still here. They're here today. I think I may have been one of those. I don't know for sure, but back in February 6th, if I had the flu, it was the worst flu I've ever had. But now I'm healed, I'm well. Wanted to be sure I was well, so I went over. That's why I went over to Miami Valley South and got that test. That was a lot of fun. If you think jumping off tall buildings is fun, that was fun. They take a big long stick and they put that in your nose and it keeps going. And they go forever until something stops it, namely me. And then they swirl that thing around in there for 15 seconds. I think 15 minutes was closer to the truth. And they swirl that thing around and they twist it like, and I'm telling you, the end of it is not some nice little cotton swab. I think the thing had grooves in it. He went in there and got all that stuff out of there and got some of me too. But I went in and said, I'm 70 years old. I'm going to be going into the church again. And all the people coming over. I said, and they said, yeah. Well, that's when they asked me, how old are you? I said, I'm 70. He says, well, we'll give you a test. I guess that's the threshold. I'm back. You're back. We are back. We are back to church. This coming back together is a sign of our faith and our hope. Faith in a God who cares for us, and hope in a future we intend to build. This coming back together is a sign of our love for one another. And while things may for now seem a bit different in the church, may appear different, some things we'll have to grow into. We won't be celebrating peace, my favorite part of the service. And we're holding off on communion for a bit. But we are in communion today because we're with one another. The beaver builds his dam stick by stick and twig by twig. He carries rocks up to his chest and swims along, gets over to the dam, puts it there, goes back to the bottom of the pond, and he starts digging up mud. Puts that there as well, and he swims up to the dam and pats that down. Soon the puddle that was there grew into a bigger puddle. And that puddle became a pond. And now it's deep because he's been digging it out. And now he begins with his family. He's got his wife there. They start building. They build the lodge. They build their nest. That thing is strong enough that if a 600-pound bear climbed up on it, it wouldn't fall down. It's amazing what they can do. And now it's ready, and wonderful things begin to happen. Where there was before a dry and dusty place, there is now this pond. It's become a wetland. He's got channels he's dug all the way to the forest to get to the trees. And now the plants have come in. And they're growing. Right up next to the river, to the pond there. Plants and flowers growing. But it doesn't stop there. Now the animals come. Deer and moose and bear. And the birds are now in the trees. And the fish have found the pond and they've come in. But they're not the only ones. Mr. Beaver has graciously allowed Mr. and Mrs. Muskrat to move in with them. And they're paying rent. They get all their, they gather up food. And they bring it in and put it in the larder together with the beaver. And they share. They share. They invite and they come. If they build it, they will come. It's the same with the church. We invite, we plead, we beg for all to come and partake of the Lord's grace. And we're happy to do so. The pond has become a magnet for life. The whole area has been landscaped into a garden where things grow and where everything can come to drink of the water that is there. Yes, our church has been afflicted greatly all across the land. But I don't see a dry and dusty place here. I see a river flowing from the altar down the aisle, and all of us gathered round are growing, and we're drinking up the water. Our roots are deep, and now we're back, and the roots are getting all that water, just sucking it up. And we shall become a testimony and a witness and a place of feeding and drinking of the grace of God. The church is also a magnet for life. What was, for 9 weeks, once in a while I would come in here and sit and pray. No one else was here. The church had become a building. But now the church is in the building. And the building is blessed by its presence. Perhaps someone may be tempted to say, this is the year there was no Easter. The year without an Easter. We all know that that is not true. I'm glad we're back here on the last day of Easter, for we have been resurrected, and today we celebrate the ascension of our Lord Jesus Christ. We are resurrected, we are ascended. Easter comes, no matter what happens in the world, it always comes, whether we celebrate it in time or not. The world can come completely apart, but Easter would still arrive at its appointed time. It's already done, and there's nothing that can destroy that. Once the Beaver's Dam is built, and the rest of the family start to move in, Mom and Dad start to have children, and they populate the place. If anything is damaged, they go out immediately and correct it. They go out immediately and repair the dam. And so are we. Whatever damage has been done will be healed. Whatever fear we may have will be healed. It is time that we repaired our lodge, our pond, and bring back to life. In the beginning of this crisis, everyone pitched in to do their part. Do you remember how that was? Can you remember? Yeah. Everybody pitched in, and we were trusting one another so much. And that was beautiful. And my first reflection on the Psalm 23 during this time was about that. Now times are different, and human nature has asserted itself. But we do not despair. We've already known this and how it would happen. We must not give in to this disease or give in to our inclinations that cause fear. And obviously, we're not that way, are we? All during the time that our church life had been paused, guess what was happening? Not only did you support the church, but at a greater rate, a higher level than you'd ever done financially. First time I've ever mentioned money. Why? Because it's great. I mean, it's like a river flowing in. And we're giving more money. We're giving more money during the time that we were out than when we were operating in a normal way. What a vision. Incredible vision. The repair of church life is already underway. The church is being resurrected this Easter season. Perhaps that is our celebration of Easter. Perhaps that is the best celebration we can have of the ascension of our Lord. That we ourselves should be resurrected and ascended. At first, there were but a few disciples who became aware of the resurrection of Christ. But as time goes on, and our land heals, and our church is healed, that word will go out as well. And then the churches will be healed, and people will be coming back. Yes, this is an essential function. The church is essential to the life of the people. Not only believers, but unbelievers as well. We have received also much needed good news. And that is that we have vaccines developed. They went underway with human trials, and the first one was extremely successful. We give thanks to God for that. We give thanks to God for our brilliant people that can do these things. The test by the Moderna company, they had 45 people in it. All 45 got the antibodies. And they got them as much as a person who had recovered from this disease. And so far, they're all safe. Let us continue to pray and to hope that this vaccine will continue and be bolstered. In the meantime, we will gather as church in worship, in praise, and in prayer. The church will be repaired and again will regain its former spiritual health and exceed it. Why do I say that? How can we exceed where we were before? It's because of the suffering we went through. Suffering breeds growth. That's why you're here today. We will be stronger because we will feed on the enlightenment and the grace that suffering brings to us. It's the lesson of the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. The repairs will happen, things will grow, people will grow. Just leave it to the beavers. Leave it to the people of God.